Hello, and welcome to an adventure like no other. Far more than what you have known, there is something far more to be known than you can ever know. And it is all about you, the real you, your real awareness with your intuitive senses. You were never taught that the real you, your real awareness, is operating 5 bodies in cause and effect, restricting creation. You have been taught to think that you are only a one-dimensional human person, with a mind and emotions, and with a very short lifespan on this planet Earth. More than what your mind can grasp is your intuitive senses that can be opened to see beyond all your restrictions. You have always had an opening to see beyond what you have known, and this has been purposely kept from you, and this is where you have heard rumors and stories about your nightly dreams. Your so-called dreams is your opening to your intuitive senses that will allow you, the personal you, to excel beyond what you have previously known. Everyone has intuitive senses, and very few people take advantage of what is possible by recognizing something more than their mind can understand. Creation has its place for all of us, and then there is all life, which is far more than anything than what can become with creation. Everything we experience is necessary for us to survive with whatever we choose and decide our life to be. New Kevin Smith is the great witness to something more than what can be taught and learned in any school. It can be so that when anyone first listens to Kevin's intuitive side experiences, also known as real side experiences, from what their personal mind has known, Kevin's manner of expression will at first be rather different to comprehend. This is where this introduction and reading the new books and Facebook groups will help. Have fun deciding. DUANE the Great Writer and Seer.
This real side experience would begin with my engaging with a group of Native American Indians. Their consciousness particular that through the adversity of experiences they have had, physical level-wise, so they can be somewhat unapproachable by those not their own. For it is so that throughout all our lifetimes we have assumed roles as tyrants, killers, and suppressors, as readily as positions as slaves, and the recipient of abuse from others. It must be considered that all experience, irrespective of its nature, serves but a singular purpose, that of the established mechanism by which the all is can be recognized, the parts, pieces, the creational encapsulated ideas in a comparative relation to the isness, everything reality. This achieved as the real awareness animates through created simulator operating body forms, where the secondary free will wielding a personal self is manifested, and a constant alternating between the two positions, the personal self, where we activate ideas through the body vehicles, the thoughts, emotions, etc., and the absence of all created ideas, and assuming of the nowness of the real awareness, which is a part of the isness everything we are determining to recognize. DUANE has identified the best means by which this can be achieved, the sun as the reference by which we compare everything we create and generate idea-wise in creation. Of course, some will take on the consideration that we can create and operate however we choose in the simulators, and this is so. We each have the free will right to formulate whatever experience we desire, but as everything equals and is the reflection of itself, in a cause and effect based simulated realm, we manifest creational situation for ourselves in equal measure to the causes we generate. The more abusive and destructive we choose to be, the more our own circumstances will reflect such choices. As the deciders, No other can impose adversely on our experiences unless we agree that they can. The idea that another can oppress or harm me must be present in my consciousness. That allows the simulation of such to take place, regardless of another's desire to want to be the delivery mechanism of adversity. The Native American Indians must have then consciousness agreements extended to others and affording them the ability of suppression installed in whatever lifetime and under whatever circumstances this was so, and this agreement has expressed as the situation in the more recent physical level Earth experience, that of the assumption of certain body forms, created identities, and spiritual ideas in relation to another group with their own consciousness creations, and where the potential existed for the beings, now as the white men, to suppress and dominate the beings, now as the Native Americans. As I mentioned, everything experienced according to what we decide, what we have agreed to, and all for all is recognizing reference comparisons, but generally we have a tendency to create idea considerations and attitudes in association with the experiences we have manifested for ourselves, as is the case with the Native Americans, rendering themselves relatively unapproachable, and where they keep predominantly to themselves. Despite this, I have indeed approached them on the real side with varying levels of success, experiences I have shared over the years regarding such, ultimately with the endeavour of sharing the new you and all is opportunity with them, as this is the fundamental imperative of all real awareness, irrespective of the body form, consciousness design, and attitudes held to. Additionally, do the beings that are as Native Americans in their current or more recent lifetimes have all manner of connections with other alien species and races, very likely through past lifetime association, and so were the Native Americans to agree to assist with the awareness beneficial galactic projects through the connections they have, they can draw on all manner of alien species and resources and be very instrumental in regards to our projects. In a number of recent real side experiences, I have been transporting or ensuring the delivery and safety of packages of information, often presenting as computer-like code. Generally, the exact nature and purpose of such activity isn't revealed, although my impressions suggest that it is the very underlying foundation of the current state of the overall simulator, the ideas that affect it, that are being transferred, altered, removed, and transported, expressing visually as computer-like data streams of information. For there is indeed an ambitious operation being taken on, involving an overhaul of the overall simulator effecting idea-based consciousness, that if successful, so vastly will simulator circumstances be improved for all, and be more conducive for an awareness process, dependent on the simulators being in a state that enables this, as opposed to, say, trying to study in a classroom that is on fire. And on occasion this is indeed the impressions of my activities in relation to the dealings with the data or information, and in other experiences where such an impression isn't extended, this very likely is the situation also, as it was in this real side experience. For in this case I was engaging with a number of Native American Indians, and as they were prepared to listen and assist, that through their particular consciousness design they are very capable and have the connections as I mentioned, if they can but get through their own attitudes, they would be essential where particular data I had in my possession was concerned. A little difficult for my personal self to fully grasp what was occurring, the overall sense was of the Native Americans providing me with the key locations and as though pass codes required to access them, locations where my data was to be delivered. The scene would momentarily alter to that of my being inside my consciousness representing physical level recreated house, within which then will be contained every idea that has been our every effected lifetime and experience, including the ideas that are the body forms of others, as absent of the idea of others, and they can't feature as participants in our experiences. Manifesting in the house now would be one such idea that was the consciousness and body form of another I evidently have agreement with, allowing the ability of the being to enter my experience at any time. For until we face and release the consciousness idea construct, we hold to every idea of it. We are the constant effect of our consciousness in its entirety, and where every being we ever had association and affiliation with can potentially enter our midst at any moment. This particular being would take the form of a colossal dragon, though one that walked on 2 legs as opposed to quadrupedal, impressions suggesting a body form where the secondary personal self has been established, a personal self locked into, and a consciousness design that can be described as ill-intended, destructive, and an effected body type that has been developed also to be extremely powerful. Impressions further unveiled, this dragon was especially disgruntled with my chosen activities in regards to my various data or idea transferring, delivering, and altering operations. This rather affirmed that such endeavours were awareness beneficial, representing an undermining of the established overall consciousness construct, which had maintained an overall simulator, just as the various expressions of the dark forces would desire to be perpetuated. Naturally then, the dark forces, in all their forms, would seek and attempt to prevent such from taking place, as has been the case with the various real-side experiences of this nature I have previously shared, including now this very creationally powerful dragon, very possibly even that it might be a reptilian life-level god, but his identity would not be confirmed in the experience, and he would proceed to pursue me as I retreated from him on a push-bike of all things, though one that didn't seem especially efficient. If all vehicles represent ideas on the real side, if this can be extended to bikes, evidently the idea of my retreat wasn't entirely convincing, suggesting I harboured agreements in relation to the mighty dragon being that would allow its ability to harm or eliminate me, hence my choice to withdraw rather than combat the dragon, but that my ability in this regard was rather lacking. Nevertheless, I cycled to a location a mile or so from my house, the dragon closing in, but not rapidly enough, that one of the Native Americans from earlier re-emerged on the scene, and would make as though corrections to my idea representing bike, bestowing it with greater mechanical efficiency and speed. Impressions revealed This particular Native American was very aware, and with my agreement he had as though made alterations to my very consciousness construct, the ideas in relation to the dragon being, which although I was retained as susceptible to his destructive impulses, I could at least evade him. My velocity now more akin to that which you might find with a racing motorbike, as opposed to the push bike I was utilizing, the dragon receding in the distance, his roaring becoming faint. The scene would conclude there, although no doubt I was on my journey to reach the locations the Native Americans had provided me, with the required pass codes to deliver my idea coding, and the dragon beast, whatever it may have been, was denied its ability to interfere with my continued operation in regards to data, information, idea delivery, and redistribution. The scene would switch. I now would find myself back in my physical level recreated house, representing the consciousness. Every idea agreed to through a consciousness will be present, regardless of they not being made manifest yet physical level wise, as there is a delay factor between cause and effect as it translates through to the physical. The ground floors of our houses represent that which we are conscious of, and that which is currently as a physical level occurring. The top floor, more the other unseen dimensions, those we are generally unaware of unless shown, and where would reside then idea agreements that although are in effect now, have yet to filter through to the physical, to be present then on the ground floor. Effects as yet to be physical level manifest can be revealed then on the real side as occurring on the top floors of our consciousness representing houses. Oftentimes I am afforded future views, so-called, that which may potentially be as overall human experience, through the windows of the upper level of my house, as I regard the environments surrounding the building, and this would be the case here. Within human consciousness will be all manner of dark force controller installed ideas of a dastardly, apocalyptic, depopulation nature, and although every idea is in effect now in reality, only certain of the ideas can be featuring as human experience at any given moment, the idea being held in a current prominence. For the current controlled human experience to become as one of these global cataclysmic events, so the idea affecting the current state of affairs must be exchanged in prominence for one where depopulation or human species genocide can take place. A movie switched for another that, although complete the moment it enters the DVD player, from the personal consciousness perspective, the final effect outcome, the movie's end, must be gradually processed through to a conclusion, and should another idea agreement replace what is being currently processed through, then the movie, the overall human experience, is exchanged for the new alternative, which begins its gradual rollout to physical level actualization. On the real side, then, we are shown the various potentials, and whichever of what is revealed to us comes to pass, is according to which movie the human race chooses to experience to a conclusion. From the windows of the top floor of my house, an idea then, still in the processing potentiality phase, though complete in real side reality, the nature of the apocalyptic event being revealed would be that of extensive and global flooding, a methodology as utilized by the dark forces, where previous resets of the human experience had been decided as to their instigation. For indeed, present would be my brother Gary, though impressions revealing he was a real guide assuming this form, and as I watched the scenes from the window, what was taking place in my immediate surroundings would be a global situation, by whatever mechanisms and means this had been made possible. He would shake his head and utter words to the effect, "Not another global flooding." The guide would fade from the scene, but I would be in the company of a group of other individuals, and we had constructed a makeshift raft, abandoning the house and drifting out a ways on the surface of the flood waters as though seeking something. From the water would emerge a number of gargantuan snakes. Representationally speaking, encounters with snakes, crocodiles, reptilian animal forms can in fact be reptilians, the bipedal, two-legged variety, though all according to context. Reptilians will often express, in more animal body types, as a reflection of the regression of their standing with life, due to their continuously abrasive choices and destructive actions, and size can denote awareness, but also agreement-supported positioning in creation. In essence, the reptilians that are the most destructive and that have the most prominent positions in the dark force hierarchies of control often present as enormous reptilian animal forms, and impressions suggested this was the case here, as these enormous serpents emerged from the waters and presented themselves threateningly. We would direct our raft back to my house, the snakes would follow, the group, myself, and the mighty serpents, now within the confines of the building, revealing agreement I retained with the reptilians that these huge snakes represented that they could feature. No impressions would reveal the positioning within the dark force simulator control systems that these giant snakes occupied, only that they were merrily swimming within the waters of a global flood as instigated by the dark forces, had been alerted to our presence, and now wanted to consume us. As I mentioned, the sense was of us seeking something as we launched our raft out across the flood waters, and despite the precarious predicament we now found ourselves within, impressions revealing the group and I had agreements, allowing our destruction at the hands, or rather the coils, of these giant snake representing reptilians. These were the beings we had determined to engage with, and we had now our confrontation. One of the snakes would open its mouth agape to swallow me whole, as agreements dictated it and its fellows could do this, to destroy myself and my group, but then it would hesitate at the last moment. Impressions revealed the form I was operating as on the real side was of a very unusual frequency vibration due to my activities in relation to my continued data delivery and restructuring operations, and I had become a cyborg of a kind, evidently a form required for my data-orientated projects, but one of a rather unique frequency, as every body type will be expressed from a particular arrangement of a consciousness-decided ideas, and frequency and vibration would be another reference for these ideas. My cyborg form, with its unique and irregular frequency signature, had intrigued and fascinated the snake reptilians, and rather than consume us, as they initially intended, instead they would engage with us, and an exchange of telepathic communication would ensue, the exact details of which I failed to recollect on waking, though the general sense was of an opportunity to bring these reptilians into at least considering assisting us with our data delivery and reordering operations, for as well placed as they were, they could be valuable assets. And if able to successfully convey the importance of what was part of the overall consciousness overhaul assignment, that of offsetting potentially the simulator implosion, since these reptilians, as powerful as they may be, will be caught in the simulator's demise also, they may well embrace the prudence of extending their assistance, but at that moment the experience would end.